Hey guys, ReviewTIJ and welcome to a new video, and it's a bit of a different video today. I am doing an F1 2013 game review. Now of course I'm not on my own, but before I introduce this person, I want to really stress that these are our own opinions about the game of F1 2013. If you don't agree with them, that's absolutely fine. I'm not asking you to agree with me, I'm just bringing out my opinion, and you can get the comments as well, but I really don't want to start an argument with any of you. But anyway, let's welcome my guest, and that is Stopmat1998. So, hello Matt.
Hello everyone.
I mean, most of you know him from the Free Player Online Championship and their 4-star co-op. His channel will be in the description, and I'll take it for granted for him to have you on. So you don't really need to introduce yourself, because people know who you are. But, yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to go straight into it, and we're covering 5 subjects today, and those are the career modes, the classic edition, online, scenario mode, and season challenge. So I'm going to ask Matt first, what are your opinions on career mode as a whole?
Career mode, I think overall it has improved ever so slightly from 2012. The AI have been improved slightly. I can tell that they're a little bit more aggressive, yet they're still not, at the point where most people want them to be, because when they're on the inside trying to overtake you, they usually back out of the move too much, and when they're on the outside they usually overtake you, which doesn't really make much sense. I think career mode definitely over the last couple of games has been dehumanized. They've got rid of the paddock, they've got rid of the media, they have no interviews anymore. I don't know why Codemasters did that, I don't know what their thinking really was in that, but they definitely need the paddock and the media back in the game to, because you need that sort of driver feel back, don't you?
Yeah, definitely, I totally agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's all I really have to say, but if you want to add anything, you can.
Yeah, obviously I totally agree with your views there. Like I was just going to reiterate that our views are different about the game, so, our views aren't the same about the game. But, yeah, I definitely agree with you, from 2012 onwards, there's been a lack of the be the driver feel, like there hasn't been a paddock, like you say, or an interview base. It's been very boring, and, what else have I got to say about it? The AI have been improved this year, but they still haven't got the difficulties right, have they, really?
No, that's
as you experienced in my career mode, if you've watched it, and especially Matt's, from Marussia to Sauber, I mean, if you went the level up with Marussia, it's crazy. You go from one extreme to another, really. And that's unfortunate, but, you can't really do anything about it. So, I hope that Codemasters kind of, put a, sort of a difficulty bar into it next year. So you have, from 0 to, perhaps, if you like, more difficulty options. So, about 8 or 9 or 10. So you can have, very easy, medium, hot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's more precise then, because I know a lot of people just can't find the actual, what they can fit into, to one extreme to the other. So I'd really like that to change. Yeah. But, that's all I've got to say about it. If there's anything else you've forgotten and you want to say about it, feel free. But, yeah, we can move on to the next subject if you like.
Just on career mode, yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think the gap between expert and legend is quite big, and I think Codemasters obviously do need to sort that in the next game. But I think they probably have more things to concentrate on in the next game, which we'll probably get onto later on with next gen and everything. But anyway, let's move on. Okay
then, so Matt, so ask your question to me.
So Toby, what do you think of the online on F1 2013?
Well, you're supposed to ask me the classic edition thing.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Let's just do this first.
Yeah. Obviously, the online is very, very weird. We've had a lot of glitches this year, as most of you know. We had the first off, we had the DLC glitch, which was when if you had somebody who had the DLC who hosted, you had to have someone without the DLC that hosted, because the only trouble was if people without the DLC tried to join someone with the DLC, they couldn't join, which was a big hassle for league runners. And believe me, Joe, and a lot of other people were really stressed about it and going, oh, for God's sake, should you just, stop this? But luckily in an update they did get rid of that, but unfortunately, lag bubbles back, unfortunately. It's good. It was a bit annoying to have it out, actually, because with incidents you could say, well, it's lag bubble. It was lag bubble. I didn't hear
I know.
But anyway, unfortunately that's appeared again in the game, so that's a bad thing, because there's been more taps and hits and everything. And obviously there have been a lot of glitches, especially the Phantom Claw glitch. That was one of the biggest bad things about it, and it actually caused you to retire.
I was basically running freely around Hungary, just behind Voracious Blue in the Mountain League reserves. And Case Legend, who was on my screen, he was just a phantom car, just trying to destroy himself. And then he just read onto the track right into the path of me, which caused me to sort of go offline, and then unfortunately I couldn't slow down, and I went into the wall. Because I know that that destroyed my vehicle. But I've seen it happen to lots of other people before, and I think it might have happened in an AOR race, actually. I'm not too sure. I think it has happened, but...
Obviously, there'll be people watching this that haven't played the game before, and they'll probably be thinking in their head, what the hell's a phantom car? So could you explain what a phantom car is?
A phantom car is basically caused when I think it's when you lose connection to someone, obviously because it's peer-to-peer connection, on F1 2013 and online. And basically they just appear on your screen as just a car just, sort of doing donuts and sort of trying to destroy itself in the wall. Luckily it's been sorted now, but it was very, very annoying at the time, and it was ruining leagues, I think.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. I mean, it was a big hassle, but luckily they fixed that in a new update. But like I say, unfortunately, when glitches go, new glitches come. I can't think about, is there any more glitches that there's been? Because I don't play on it as much as you do, because obviously I'm not in as many leagues as you are, but, have there been any more issues with the game?
There's been this glitch where in qualifying, if you cut a corner, you auto-retire, even if it's not right at the end of the session. It's like, I think it happened in Formula Xbox USA, although I think it only happens on occasion, it doesn't happen all the time, which is kind of strange, but that glitch is kind of annoying because it caused the majority of the drivers to be auto-retired, and they didn't set a qualifying time, but...
Yeah, I mean, every game has glitches, hasn't it? I mean, let's face it, nobody can make a game that there isn't going to be one glitch. Games are so good these days that if they don't have glitches, I don't sound silly, but they're not as good as they are. I don't know, that sounds really stupid, but it's true, isn't it? Game developers work so hard in the games, you're still gonna have glitches in there. I mean, that's just the fact with every game. But the online has been, I think, I hate to use this word, but it's been sub-satisfactory. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, definitely.
There's been a lot of glitches in the online this year, and a lot of issues. And one thing I want to actually talk about is sprint lobbies. Actually, I'll get you to talk about it, Matt. What do you think about the reduction of people being in sprint lobbies? Could it be connected to perhaps there might have been a reduction in selling the game, or people don't want to be in sprint lobbies anymore, or the too many moves? Ask me that question.
I think it could be many things, to be honest. It could be the fact that the online's so bad, but the thing is, it was right from the off where we had nobody in sprint mode lobbies at all. I think the first week we may have had a few, 12 people per lobby on average, and then that figure dropped to about 5 or 4. Yeah. F1 2012, we know there was an awful lot of noobs, and that's when everybody began to realise that, lots of people stopped playing F1 2012 sprint mode because of the noobs, and, well, to be honest, I think that might be one of the only reasons, but obviously because of F1 2013's online, it could be a reduction in sales for whatever reason, I have no idea. It could be anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've really got anything more to say about the online, but unfortunately, I rate it as sub-satisfactory, and I hope they improve it next year. So, we are going to move on to, Classic Edition. I'm going to talk about a little bit of that. And, actually, I'm going to ask Matt the first question about this. Okay. Do you think Classic Edition has perhaps made the online worse? Do you think they spent too much time on the Classic Edition?
Yeah, you can definitely look at it that way. I think they perhaps spent too much time making the Classic Edition perfect. They could have spent that time maybe making the online even better. I think maybe they wasted memory, maybe including the Classic Edition, but as I said, I think it probably did make the online worse, if I'm going to be honest, because obviously they do have set memories for the games, and, introducing the Classic Edition, which, let's face it, hasn't really been used a lot by many people. It's probably, I say it's been a waste of time, I think, that game mode. Not many people have used it, although it adds variety to the game, but still, it was just a waste of time, and I think Codemasters easily could have used that extra memory to maybe make the online better, make career mode better, rather than introducing that.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. I mean, I was going to pick up on this later, but you've already picked up on it, so it doesn't really matter. But, I totally agree with you. Obviously, I don't know every bloody user of the game, personally, but from people I know, I remember, do you remember the release night when me, you, Ben, Ryan, and all these different people, we played Classic Edition, and we thought it was quite novelty and brilliant, but,
yeah.
you know, after 2-3 weeks, it started to die down, and it was one of them things that was just like a, something that went very stale, and I like to use that word because this will be used a lot during this commentary, staleness, and we'll move on to that later, but, you know, after a couple of weeks it got stale, and it was a bit boring because, you know, it's the same thing, there was no real, championship or anything involved. That's actually one of the reasons that we started the free player online, Classics Championship, because we sort of felt sorry for the developers, obviously Codemasters, you know, they spent so much time on it and no one really admiring it. You know, that's very unfortunate, but I don't think I've really got much to say about that. It's a very nice feature in the game, but perhaps they spent too much time on it, I don't know. Perhaps they could have released it as a DLC later in the year and focused on the game, and then focused on the DLC, and then focused on 2014, but we really don't know what their mindset was. Have you got anything more to add, or, because I think we can move on?
We can move on now if you want.
Yeah, so
although we could, there are some positives from Classic Edition, as I briefly mentioned earlier. It adds variety to the game. You know, you don't, and obviously, actually, I do actually quite enjoy driving around the classic tracks like Brands Hatch, Jerez, Imola. I can't remember the other one, Estoril. I think they're good tracks, but overall, it does have variety to the game. But I think overall, it was probably a waste of time. Let's face it.
Yeah, I agree with you totally there. And one feature that was new in the game that I haven't really played, so I'm going to ask you a little bit about this, and then we're going to move on to one of the final subjects about this game, and then we're going to move on to next game and the next gen, just to give you an idea of what's going to be in this commentary. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the scenario mode in the game?
Scenario mode is definitely a good feature in the game. It adds, you know, because before, like on F1 2010, 2011, all there really was just career mode, Grand Prix mode, time trial, and online. That was it. I think it's good that they've added scenario mode in again for more variety. I think the challenges that are on there are pretty cool. Although, to be honest, I did briefly do a scenario mode series, and I sort of stopped that pretty quickly. But no, I think I don't really have much to say on it, to be honest. I haven't really played it that much, but I think the challenges are quite fun. I think Codemasters, I don't think they've necessarily wasted their time into scenario mode, because they've definitely improved it, because obviously they had Champions Mode in 2012, and they've added in, basically it's just that, but they've just added in so many more challenges. They have, you know, sort of like different stages. They have Rookie, then Champion, or something like that. I'm not really sure, but if you want to add on anything, then you can.
I mean, I suppose it's a bit like, you know, sort of a mission sort of base for the F1 game, you know, like a objective sort of thing, because obviously career mode's just racing and get boring over time, you know, as we said earlier. But definitely, yeah, it's a good feature. But what was I saying before? I've totally lost my mindset. But anyway, yeah, I think scenario mode's a good feature, and it brings sort of a mission-based set to the game.
Yeah, like most games have, like GTA, but obviously it's nowhere near like that.
Oh no, it's definitely not. But it's a nice feature to the game, and I think that's really good. So if you've got nothing else to say, we'll move on to the next subject.
We'll move on to the next subject then. Okay,
so the next subject is about, the final subject about this game, I believe, apart from the last subject, which isn't about any game modes, but you'll know in a bit, is the season challenge. So I'm going to speak a little bit about that. And this was introduced, was it last year in 2012? The 2012
Yeah,
game?
2012 was the first year.
You know, with Champions Mode included as well. And season challenge, I heard from a couple of YouTubers that it was going to be dropped this year. And I felt a little bit sad, because I didn't play that. I mean, I did a series on it, so I can't really say I didn't play it that much. But yeah, you know, last year it was a good thing to have, because it was almost like for the casual gamer that, you know, in F1 2011 you had the option to do like 5-lap career mode races. You know, it's almost brings that sort of essence to the game now that you can't do 5-lap career mode races. And it's a fast-paced, fast-moving game mode. I've always been quite fond of it. It's a very good idea, because it's, you know, for the casual F1 gamer who just wants to move up the ranks very quickly. You know, not having to spend hours and hours, you know, on a career mode, waiting half a year. I mean, the career mode's obviously more realistic for people who are more of a hardcore sort of Formula 1 fan. But your casual Formula 1 fan, or someone who just wants to play the game for a laugh, that'll pick it up for a bargain, you know, they want to just play season challenge, which is good. But I definitely think it's a good thing. Obviously, it's on the side's career mode, and it's very good. I've enjoyed playing it. I haven't played it that much, but it's just something that I suppose when you're bored, you know, it's something to do. I presume you've got nothing to add because you probably haven't played it, but from other people's perspectives, what do you think of the season challenge, if anything?
Yeah, definitely. I think season challenge is definitely for the casual F1 gamers. The ones that only want to do 5-lap races, just don't really have the time, or just don't simply want to do a 25% race. I think the season challenge is definitely ideal, and I think they should probably keep that in for F1 2014 and into the future.
Definitely.
In my opinion.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to the next subject that we're both going to talk about, because the big thing, and to be quite honest, there's nothing that Codemasters could do about it, but the game was very stale in the first couple of weeks. Can you explain that a little bit, Matt?
Yeah, just as we sort of briefly mentioned earlier with the online, especially with the sprint mode lobbies, on the first day, I remember we got about, we probably had a full man, I think it was a full man lobby, in sprint mode. And then 2 weeks later, it was only about, a 8-man lobby. Then that figure dropped to about 3. And now, probably if I went on right now, there probably would be nobody.
Yeah.
Because the game has really gotten stale, and I have no idea why. I kind of do have an idea, because the online's terrible, really. There were a load of glitches when the game first came out, as there always is with new games. But I think that really did affect the amount of people that played the game, that carried on playing the game. Obviously, really, I only go on F1 now just for leagues and career mode. That's it, basically. I don't play on it just generally, because there's not really much you can do on that game. And sprint mode's not really that fun anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, I only go on it to do, obviously, YouTube series and then the league races. And that's about it with it. I mean, it's got very, very stale, like I say, very quickly. And that's why I stopped the career mode, because I was getting really bored of the races. I mean, I was thinking, I can't be arsed to do this race. And then you've got to edit after. I mean, something you don't enjoy doing, editing it. You don't mind editing it when you enjoy it, let's face it. But, this really isn't about YouTube videos. These people want to see what we think about the game. But yeah, the game got very stale very quickly. And it's unfortunate really for the developers. But then again, people bought the game, so I think that's all they're fussed about really. The game has been a decent one, I believe. Not the best of the franchise, but we'll come back to that with the overall rating later. But definitely a good game, but it got stale very quickly, and I think that's the unfortunate bit. I mean, FIFA, that sort of thing, that's the same sort of thing, but with FIFA you've got like Ultimate Team and things like that. Online features which make the game a bit more fun. Pro clubs, your online friendlies. You everything on that, there's more options on that to do online with your mates, and, I think people are just deserting to other games. And I actually know some people, after a couple of weeks of having it, they actually went and sold the game and went back to F1 2012, so that's quite extraordinary actually, to say that. But, we're gonna move on to next year's game now, if you want to, if you've got nothing more to say about that.
Not really.
No, so we're going to go on to next year's game. So, what would you like to see next year's game improved?
Next year's game, I'd want definitely an improved career mode and an improved online. Improved career mode, we've got to have the AI, so they're not too aggressive, but they are much more aggressive than they are at the moment, because let's face it, they are pretty, when they race against you, they just don't want to overtake at all, which just makes it really annoying. And that's what makes the races boring, because I know people who originally started career mode on YouTube and then they've just stopped it because it just started to get really boring because of the AI.
Yeah, that's like I did, yeah, but carry on. Sorry about
that. Obviously online, I think, F1 2014, if it's going to move to next gen, Codemasters should have more memory, so hopefully they'll be able to, improve the AI and improve online that way. Obviously, I think if they're going to introduce anything into career mode, it's got to be the paddock, and the paddock menu like they did in F1 2011. They have the media there. I don't know what else really. I think
something like like the grid walk before the race. Martin.
That would
Martin will come in to interview you before. I think it just adds definitely more of a be the driver feel and a realism feel. Definitely, yeah.
They need that. Codemasters definitely need that just to sort of make the experience even greater.
And stuff really little, like before the race, perhaps you can, when you're coming out the pits, like you can see all like the camera teams in the pit lane, like you can see like Susie Perry and all that, and not actually see, you know what I mean? But you know, but like the Sky team, like Simon Lazenby and all that, just standing there, and it just bring a little bit.
Hello.
It'll just bring a little bit of realism, and obviously the formation laps are a big thing.
Yeah, definitely.
That you probably need, and also, you know, coming up to the grid, I'd like to have an option where you could like drive up to the grid before your formation lap and try to dodge all the people.
Definitely. Yeah, basically they're called reconnaissance. That's when you go out, when you do your lap out of the pits and then go onto the grid, and that would be really cool. Like it could just control you as soon as you come out the last corner. It could be like a little animation of you going through everybody and onto your grid slot, and then pretty much the formation lap starts from there. And that would be really cool.
Got podiums as well, which would be
yeah. Even if it's just a podium animation, that would be really cool. Co-masters don't have to put in podium interviews, but it would be really good if they did. At least just having a podium animation would just make things so much cooler and just make you really feel like a driver. Like, as I said.
Yeah,
we'll keep on coming back to that.
Absolutely. What else was I going to say about this? I can't actually think what I was going to say now. But yeah, I think podiums are a brilliant idea. Obviously, podium interviews, the champagne, just all brings a little bit more realism into the game.
Yeah.
And of course, what you asked, I mean, I've remembered my point now. Codemasters have said it's not like R-Factor. It's not like iRacing.
No, definitely.
It's just a casual Formula 1 game. It's not something that they want to do real, you know, simulation on, if you like. But we're not asking them to do a simulation game. No, we're not.
No, definitely
We're just asking them to add a couple of more features, you know, to just put the realism into the game, you know, put a little bit more realism into the game with the realism. And obviously, you know, with next year's game, if it's on next gen, which I'm presuming it will be, because I know a lot of people that have got next gen consoles, and I hope they're it should be on current gen. I can really imagine it will be, on current gen. But obviously with the next gen consoles, they've got a lot more, memory to use on the game, and that'll be a big bonus with the game, obviously. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about F1 2014, and have you got anything else to say about it?
Not really. I know also lots of people do want customizable cars and helmets, but really you can only really do you actually do have that at the moment on PC, but I don't think that'll be possible for consoles. I think if you want to, you know, design your car differently, then I think you have to get the game on the PC.
Like I was saying earlier, this is a licensed Formula 1 game, not a game that's Formula 1 based that you can make your own cars. I mean, that'd be a lovely feature. And another lovely feature would be being able to beat in principle. However, this game is about driving a Formula 1 car. Do you know what I'm saying here? And people expect too much of the game. You know, they're saying, well, add this, you know, you've just got to think in little steps, and it's hard for them to add all these things. But definitely, I hope they can do it for next year, and I think we will conclude there if you've got nothing else to say.
Yep.
Well, if you've watched the whole of this, I think it's about 25 minutes or just under. But like I said, if you've watched the whole thing of this, I'd thank you so much. Leave a comment, of course, if you've got any more, suggestions and any other opinions. Obviously, like I say, we stress that these are our opinions. If you totally disagree, you know, you totally disagree, it's your opinion. We're not, like I said at the start of the video, we are not trying to force you to be on our side and agree exactly the same thing as me. But of course we can have a discussion in the comments. I'm sure me and Matt will look at the comments on my video and reply back to you as soon as possible. And
also subscribe to me, please.
Yeah, your channel's going to be in the description, Matt. Don't you worry. Being on an annotation on the screen probably know anyway. Yeah. But I'd love to say a massive thank you if you watched the whole of this. Make sure to mash that like button because that worked on the latest Stroke Free of the Science video. But anyway, on that bombshell, I think it's fair to say, good night. So, good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you guys for watching yet again. Thank you so much. I can't say thank you enough. And sayonara.
Bye-bye.